We're finally here, the final row, who are none other than the Leafwings, your typical nature-adjacent green dragon who can sometimes, not always, speak to plants. If that's not the best thing you've ever heard, then I don't know what is. This row was very interesting to make since I had pretty much all the secondary Leafwing hybrids already done. And to be honest, personally, when I look at all these Leafwing hybrids, I can't help but think I could probably do better. They were decent, don't get me wrong, but definitely not my best work. It's also kind of strange to me that they were my weakest secondary row since they're one of my top 3 tribes. And by top 3, I mean they are the 3rd, but I digress. So for this row, I want to do a little better and make these designs something I can be a little prouder of. When picking a theme for these guys, it was so very tempting to go with a simple theme of like plants, leaves, nature, that sort of thing. But I like being spontaneous and unpredictable and yet vaguely close to what you may be expecting. So for this row, I chose a theme of environment and camouflage. If the Leafwings evolved to have leaf-shaped wings, then surely that was so they could blend in with trees, so why not make these hybrids look like they could blend into other environments? So as it goes, I picked out a small bunch of different environments or natural formations to base these different hybrids around. Anywho, speed paint to go! First up is the Silkwing, who was themed off of a temperate forest. They were drawn to be long and slender, like the trees shown in this reference image, with lots of blobby patterns on their neck and bumpy-looking fins to resemble leaves. They were also given very long curving horns just because I didn't really know what else to do with them. They were given a gray base color based on the tree bark, with various scales along their head and neck that fade from green to yellow to orange. The Hivewing was based on flower fields, which was based on the idea that, you know, bees like flowers, I guess. They were given some feathery looking horns with patterns along their neck that I intended to kinda look like sharp petals, but mostly resemble leaves, which I guess still works. This design was given a somewhat mid-toned green base, dappled with golds and yellows to look like the same colors as the flowers. They were also given a darker green pattern under their yellow spots to look like shadows. When drawing the Nightwing, I went into it wanting to make them look kinda cute and innocent looking. They were based on pit caves, specifically those ones that have patches of greenery in them. To resemble this, they were given crescent-shaped horns and various other round features. Their color placement is really what connects them to their inspiration. They were given a dark head with a bright green back. I wanted to make it look like sunlight could be pouring in from the opening that their horns made, which is why their back is such a vibrant green to resemble greenery. They were also given a bright green patch over one eye to, again, reference the same thing. The Rainwing ended up being one of my favorites of this row, from their pose to expression and to their shape language. They were based on bamboo jungles, which led to a lot of repeating rectangular patterns on their design, like with their horns, fins, nose, and neck patterns. Their colors were simple and straightforward, with a green base and dark magenta stripes which were meant to resemble bamboo lines. They were also given blocky, light green flecks along their body to kinda texturize the empty space. Based on snowy pine forests, the Icewing was drawn with many droopy features to resemble branches being weighed down by snow. Their ears and horns were given divots to further resemble pine branches, and they were given a double row of fins along their back to allude to their Icewing side. Furthermore, they were given a dark green base with a white back to, you guessed it, look like snow-covered pine trees, with some light blues and lighter greens thrown in there for the sake of color variation. The Seawing was based on coral reefs, and more specifically table coral, or at least that's what I think it's called. The flat coral that just kind of expands horizontally. I'm sure you can see it in the reference image. Anywho, I tried to resemble that in the horns, which I tried to initially curve upwards at the edges, but it just wasn't working out. They were given large patches along their neck to further look like coral, as well as a couple spikes on their chin for the fun of it. They were given a teal-green base with orange patches and dark green spots along their neck to look like bubbles. I also tried to alternate the coloring along their fins, but I eventually changed it at the end. Because the Skywing was based on basalt columns, they ended up sharing a lot of the same shape language as the Rainwing, but there are still many things that make them different, such as their longer fin, their splotchy neck pattern, and their straighter, 3 times as many, horns on their head. Like with the reference, they were supposed to look like moss-covered rock, but because Skywings couldn't be gray last time I checked, I settled with a bright orange base and a couple shades of green for their secondary colors. The Mudwing was based on a mangrove swamp, which led them to have many droopy features. Their fin flopped to the side, and their horns curved down and split at the ends to resemble mangrove roots. They were also given a bumpy snout and a bumpy ridge along their neck. They were given the base color of mangrove bark, with a green back intended to look like leaves or various swamp clutter. Finally, the Sandwing was based on a semi-arid desert. They were given many sharp and pointy features to look like the prickly and sparse greenery that litters the ground, such as a pointy fin, fragmented patterns, and sharp scale lines. They were given warm green, pale yellow, and dull brown colors, with pale yellow flecks along their body and horns that alternate shades of brown. I also thought it would be fun to give this guy just the brightest of blue eyes. And here's the complete final row, finally occupied by the Leafwings. Thank you all for tuning in and tagging along on my little journey to make 90 different hybrids from 10 different tribes. So, in return, I'd like to give these guys away to you all in the form of raffles on Discord and a few DTAs that are accessible to all, whether or not you're in the Discord. The DTAs are ongoing, and they're open for submissions until July 15th. The first batch of raffles will begin in a couple of days on July 8th, and you can see the schedule for all the raffles linked in the description on my master document Google Doc. If you decide to participate in the DTAs, then please be sure to read through the rules thoroughly. So yeah, thank you all for your continuous support of the series. Pay no mind to whatever is going on in my monitor. I have no idea why it's doing that, it must be glitched or something, haha. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you when I see ya. See ya.